well, what is the future of college? And they saw the future of college is going to be asynchronous. It's going to be not bound by time. You're going to be able to earn credits not at the end of a semester after tests, exams, and lecture. You're going to earn credits as you go along. And they really adapted their innovative college model to fit the needs of, everyday people.
At Penji is our commitment to helping those who are making sacrifices to help others. Thank you to those making a difference in your community. We are currently accepting applications for Penji for nonprofits. If you know a nonprofit or you are one yourself, head over to penji.co and click on Penji for Good at the bottom of the website to learn how to qualify. If you are listening to this podcast and are not a nonprofit, well, welcome. Become a customer by using the custom coupon code within the podcast show notes. Proceeds of all sales goes directly back to the nonprofit from this interview. Now, back to the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unified Purpose, the podcast where we share inspiring tales of compassion, resilience, and community spirit. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's Partnership Coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Oscar Wang, founder and CEO of College Together. Oscar and I had previously discussed what his organization does, and I was pleasantly surprised that something like this even exists, and I'm very curious to learn more about how it works. Let's get started.
Thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Shannon.
Alrighty, could you be able to tell us about your organization's mission and kind of what it means to you?
Yeah, I run College Together, and our mission is to create a new category of college, as we call it, called Fusion College, where we take elements from existing and traditional college models that do work for students, scrap the parts that are inefficient or don't lead to student success to create something new. So I like to say that the Fusion is a hybrid of digital curriculum and in-person support. And our goal is to create a new college pathway, especially for disadvantaged first-generation students here in Philadelphia, and to ensure that college can be efficient, innovative, and affordable again.
That's fantastic. So what influenced you to start something like this? Where did it come from, kind of?
Yeah, well, I was a first-generation student myself, and I was hit with that big question after college of what are you going to do with your life? And I'd gotten very, very involved in the Philadelphia school system. So I worked for the superintendent, for the school board. I worked for a small newspaper that covered Philadelphia schools. And learning about not just the school district, but the city, you saw there was not just enormous need, but enormous potential as well. So I decided I wanted to do something about it. So I actually started a very small club, a mentorship organization at my alma mater, where we connected aspiring first-gen college students in Philadelphia high schools with incumbent first-generation students or students that shared some adjacent identity with those in Philly schools. We just started mentoring people on FAFSA, on college applications, on college knowledge. So, the idea of what's a syllabus or how do you go to office hours, what are office hours, and that little club became a nonprofit. And I like to say, Shannon, it's been a 10-year journey of trying to figure out what the right solution is for the city, of not just how do we get more students into college, but through. So I'll save you the 2-hour story, but we pivoted from a mentorship organization to working in traditional colleges as a support program to now College Together's Fusion College model essentially is starting a new college. And sort of realized a couple years ago that what the city really needed and what our students deserved was not just another college program, it was a new college pathway. And so that's how we ended up where we are now.
Well, congratulations on hitting the 10-year mark. That's incredible.
Yeah,
I know that takes a lot.
Been a lot of pivots and a lot of change, but I like to say it's all under the banner of the same mission and a fierce discipline and try to find a solution to that original founding question.
It's really wonderful that you're doing work like that. I personally, and I've talked to many people about this, but I know that there's a lot of colleges in Philly that don't do enough for the communities around them.
Sure.
They kind of affect them in a negative way, but they don't give, other than the lower college fee for someone that lives in state, they don't really give more to the community that they affect. I went to Temple, and I always thought that, I think the community here would be doing a lot better if they had an extreme discount on college or even free college just in that one area code. And I just think it's incredible work that you're doing something like that.
Thank you.
Have you ever paired, I know you're specifically with Southern New Hampshire University, have you looked into pairing up with any other colleges or universities?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to address sort of your first part, the first part of your commentary, because I think it's very important in terms of framing context for your question of who we work with.
Mm-hmm.
So, one, we always ensure that our staff, whether it's our admissions team that goes out and recruits students or our coaching team that supports students every single day, we are very big on the idea that we're not better than any other college, right? And that colleges as a system, are not exactly out there to be predatory, or they're not out there to destroy students' lives. I think everyone has great intentions, right? But when you look at the actual reality of college in Philadelphia, it's a pretty sobering reality, right? There's been a lot of focus on how do you get high-achieving, low-income students to top schools, right? You can turn on NBC 10 or ABC 6, turn on the nightly news, during college decision time, and you're going to see, story after story of, hey, this valedictorian at this Philly school, first in their family to go to college, usually a low-income person of color, has gotten into like 6 Ivy League schools, mm-hmm. right? And that's fantastic, and we celebrate that, and those are really worthy pathways. But the percentage of students in any school system who can access the most elite schools, which usually are the schools that have the most support and the most amount of money to give in financial aid, that number is always, Shannon, going to be very, very small. So our mission has always been, we salute and we celebrate the students at the top, but what about everybody else? Mm-hmm. What about the folks who are part of the many, not just the chosen few? And if you look at elite colleges in Philadelphia, right, there are a lot of elite colleges in the city, but when you look at their population, there are not a lot of Philadelphians, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you look at where Philadelphians are going to school, where they're accessing, the reality is they're either taking on too much debt to not finish, or if they're getting a really, really good price, a lot of students tell us that they don't feel like the support, the one-on-one community is there. So, we work directly with Southern New Hampshire University. Our curriculum is from there, even though College Together, the Philly-based nonprofit, we're the support system day to day. We work with SNHU, or SNU for short, which is the fun acronym, because they really are a leader nationally in this field. Mm-hmm. Paul LeBlanc, who just 2 weeks ago stepped down from a very long and impactful presidency, in 2014, he and his team went out and thought, well, what is the future of college? And they saw the future of college is going to be asynchronous. It's going to be not bound by time. You're going to be able to earn credits not at the end of a semester after tests, exams, and lecture. You're going to earn credits as you go along. And they really adapted their innovative college model to fit the needs of, everyday people. And not just that, Shannon, they've also, I think, put resources behind it. So there's a whole financial aid team that I can call on a daily basis to get updates on students. You have this amazing program manager, Leah, who, we email and talk to on the daily every single week, and they're deeply invested in our success as we are theirs. And so they've been able to not just build a great model and an innovative one at that, they've been able to actually build a support system around that model to support partners like us in the field. And so when it comes to innovation, when it comes to curriculum, I think they are far ahead of where many colleges are in the United States. And so when you're talking about the right partner, they are the right partner, even though they're in New Hampshire and not in Philadelphia. But their digital reach allows us to bring that curriculum to the city.
That's fantastic. It's good to have resources that not only help people get into college, but want to stay in college. I think that's a really difficult time for people. I know also that I like that you have this hybrid way of schooling, because I think that a lot of people have trouble with the confines of traditional education.
Sure.
And I think that's one of the biggest difficulties that I've talked to people who don't finish college, mm-hmm. is that problem exactly.
Yeah.
So that's really great. Awesome.
Thanks.
All right. And I was wondering, so something that's kind of topical now is how do you feel about the closing of UArts? Do you know about this?
Yeah, I mean, we College Together, CT Campus, which is our headquarters, we're at 13th and Walnut. And, we are one block off Broad Street. And so our neighbor literally is UArts. I actually just helped one of our students who started with us at college together, and then her dream is to be a singer, and so she just actually got accepted to UArts, and I was just looking at her financial aid package with her. I don't know the particulars of what happened at UArts. I do, no matter how you look at it, and there's obviously a story, maybe a Netflix series one day about the closure and what happened, and I think rightfully so. Parents and families and students have a lot of questions. I think staff members, right, who, many of them have worked a very long time at this storied institution. They have even more questions, about their livelihoods and how it's impacted them. So I can't pass judgment on that. What I will say is that, it is a huge loss for the Philadelphia community, for the region. And I think the closure of UArts is emblematic of larger questions about higher education, right? Folks are wondering, well, college costs a lot of money. Why? Are costs going to continue to go up? Is my school stable? Am I going to get a good ROI on my degree? Is it worth going to college? And so I think in many ways, when you look at traditional institutions, they're being asked a lot of these questions. And, some of them are trying to innovate and change. Others are fighting back against the narrative. I think for us, we position ourselves as, very much a legitimate college option. You can get a degree with us, from one of America's top nonprofit accredited universities. But you can do it in a different way at a lower cost with more support. And so for us, it's looking at college as not sort of this embattled idea that's outdated. We believe that college has to change, and we want to be at the forefront of changing it.
That's really good. And I think that is something that's incredibly important, not only for the reliability of a college is something that I personally never even thought of before something like this had happened. And I think that someone being able to trust that this will never happen with their school is a college like Temple or UPenn, for example, something that has existed for so long, you would probably think that nothing like that would happen. It's completely stable. But UArts has been a school since it's a really old school. Like, it's been here for a really long time.
150 years.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
And the fact that something like that can be unstable or unreliable is really scary, especially for a lot of people who, I know a lot of like native Philadelphians that have gone to UArts because it's like one of the top art schools in the city. And the fact that there's already this distrust in education in Philadelphia because of the lack of funding or the quality of it because of the lack of funding, it's really disappointing to maybe go into college having that feeling and then have that happen to you.
Yeah, I think the bigger narrative really, right, Shannon, is distrust, right? And this idea that people feel misled or even lied to, right? And that's central to, I think, the general feelings around the UArts story, right? Is whether you're a parent who just sent in a deposit for your kid or whether you're a student who, decided to enroll for the fall, or whether you're a staff member who's been there for 20 years, right? There's this idea that something's not right and I've, been misled. And again, I don't know what happened there. I think eventually the story is going to come out and hopefully everyone gets more clarity. Because I think there needs to be a certain amount of truth-telling and healing with that situation. But I don't think that sentiment, as you just said, Shannon, is unique to UArts. UArts is an extreme example, right? Colleges don't typically close in 1 week, right? But this idea of being misled is something that, I've seen in my career and that our students tell us constantly, right? Is, we tell especially first generation low-income students in this country that there's a narrative of go to college and you're going to succeed, right? And a lot of students feel misled based on, I didn't realize financial aid was going to be this little and I would have to pay this much, or no one told me about the rules of how college aid works or how college classes work, or I wasn't given enough support to truly succeed through college. And, this narrative that we all pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps and we all get through college alone, even though college is a very individualistic journey, it's a very communal one as well, right? I think every single person who's graduated from college can identify somebody, whether it was a professor, a mentor, a classmate, a dean who they would not have made it through college without. And that's central to the college together idea, is the idea that we succeed together, but also, Shannon, we're going to be transparent with students about cost, about the curriculum. We start every single semester with a test drive period. So if students feel like it's not the right time for school, or they hit some life milestone or maybe a big challenge or barrier, that they don't need to enroll in that semester and that we can find the right time in the future. It's really about community, but also telling truth in that community so that students know what they're getting themselves into, so they feel they can trust not just college together, but they can trust the idea and the system of college too.
That's awesome. So actually, speaking of trust.
Sure.
So looking into your organization, I almost feel like it's too good to be true. I think that I'm not trying to be critical or anything.
Sure.
Because of like how many stories I've heard from friends or other people that have had such a difficult time getting into college, looking for payment, all these different things. How are you able to juggle all these different parts that go into giving this experience to people?
Sure. I mean, when you say too good to be true, I could probably identify three things that sometimes sound too good to be true, right? And then I'll kind of caveat them a little bit and tell you sort of the story behind each point, because I think the thing we always want to tell folks is that even though like these three things sound really good and almost too good to be true, we're not a perfect college experience, right? We're not, I don't think every single student needs to or should go through a pathway like college together. But the ones who do get through, like our 21 graduates so far since we started in October 2020, who have no debt, who have a degree, and they graduated on time, they have a good story to tell. And I think part of that is the truth telling of what this is, what it can be, and to be honest with students. So, if there are three things that I usually highlight that students respond to me, this sounds too good to be true. The first is definitely the price, right? So we work with Southern New Hampshire University to offer a radically affordable price point at just $2,333 a semester. So it's a trimester system. So in a year, the total cost is just $1 under $7,000, $6,999. And that is the true cost, right? That there's no fees attached to that, no textbook fees. We're very transparent about that, right? The second thing is there are no tests or exams. Everything is project-based. You learn by doing, right? Whether it's submitting a spreadsheet or doing a PowerPoint presentation or writing an essay, our students have to submit a project until they get mastery. So they have to reach an A level of work, right? So you can't just turn in C level work and, they say C's get degrees. Well, not at college together, where you have to master the content, but students get unlimited submissions until they get it right? And then finally, there's no lecture or traditional class, right? We do have expectations for our students of checking in, coming into our campus space, meeting with your mentor. Everyone gets a one-on-one mentor, but there is a lot of flexibility. And what I say to those three things is, those three things are features of our model that sound too good to be true. But at the end of the day, there still is the work to be done in college. And ultimately, the only person that could do the work is the student, right? So on cost, what I'll say is, it is a very awesomely affordable price point. At the same time, though, at any college in America, if a student goes in and enrolls in college formally for classes, but that doesn't do any of the work or stops showing up to class, you're going to owe money back to the federal government, right? If you receive federal aid, right? It's called a Pell recount. There are rules like SAP, Satisfactory Academic Progress, where you have to pass at least 67% of your classes. So, this idea that college is free and that, we are going to just get free college forever, well, there's some truth telling at the beginning you need to do with students and throughout of, hey, you're getting this money from the government. The price point is very, very low, but there are consequences to not doing work that you have to and you should know before you dive into it, right? There are no tests or exams, right? And there's a lot of flexibility, but there's still accountability, right? And the work still needs to be done. So I like to say, Shannon, that even though college together sounds really good to be true, there are no tests and there's flexibility. I would argue that there is flexibility in all the right ways, where if a student misses a week because, their cat passed away or, they saw a loss in the family, or they just got busy, or they just got demotivated, they can miss that week and pick up where they left off, right? But at the end of the day, though, there's no faking this model of college. Because you have to turn in projects and reach mastery, there isn't like some packet at the end of a semester you could do, or a test you can take to pass the class by the skin of your teeth, right? You have to put in the work. So I like to say that it's flexible in the right ways, but it's also rigorous in ways that I think make it a very meaningful college experience, and the degree to really be at the intersection of practical skills and critical thinking, because you actually have to master the work at the end of the day.
Is there fundraising that goes into this? So I know that a lot of it is through the Pell Grant. That's and I've actually used that myself when I was in college, so it was wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah, is there a fundraising element to doing this that isn't just through the college, or that you are work with and everything?
Yeah, I mean, College Together, is dominantly philanthropically funded, right? So, our amazing supporters at the Clinneal Foundation, the Roddenberry Foundation, the Philadelphia Foundation, Seibert Foundation. I can name many foundations who've supported this work and have been at the vanguard with us of building this new college model. Part of what we do is we do have a scholarship fund that we fundraise for. And that is the very real acknowledgement that not every single student gets the maximum Pell Grant, right? They might be a couple $100s short. And for some students, a couple $100 might be a couple thousand, right? It's the realization, Shannon, that not every student has a perfect semester. We've had students who have sapped out, who lost their financial aid because of federal rules, and they just need a little extra support for that next semester to get back on track. So we do fundraise for targeted scholarships for students, but the vast majority of our students, when they start with us, they do receive federal aid through FAFSA, through the Pell Grant, and that's how they pay for college.
How do you get people to donate to this cause? Like, what's your strategy that you usually use?
Yeah, I mean, there are many ways to support. You can go on our website right now, and there's a big donate button, and we really are thankful to our dozens of individual donors who contribute directly either to our general operating funds or for things specifically like student scholarships, right? We also have a basic needs fund that pays for transportation, passes for our students, food and snacks. We have a lot of ramen, as I think I always say, because it wouldn't be college without ramen. Laptops and basic need support for our students. All these things are very, very important. We're actually just about to launch a $5 million fundraising campaign that we call Change College Forever. And the idea is to be able to continue to support our students and expand our reach when it comes to academic support, to provide every student with one-on-one help, more pathways to degree success, more mentorship throughout the entire program. We want to be able to expand our space. We're slowly growing out of our space right now to expand CT campus and provide a safe and quiet study space for everybody, a place to do orientation. And then we're also looking to expand access with more scholarships, more avenues of support so students can get in and enhance and be able to get this enhanced, radically affordable college experience. And so, in a couple weeks, when people go to our website, they'll be able to look at our overall priorities for Change College Forever. They'll be able to be part of the $5 million effort to build this new college pathway in Philadelphia, and to really be part of, I think, something very special, where by 2030, Shannon, we want to be a top 5 college destination for Philadelphians in this city. We want to ensure that we remain uniquely great at serving first-generation low-income students. And then third, we actually hope through a revenue model we have with SNHU to be self-sufficient in core operations and to prove that college can be innovative, efficient, and effective again at all the things that it can do.
So all of this sounds really amazing, and I feel like if I found out about it so many years ago, I'd be really interested in doing it.
Sure.
How do you market yourselves to get people to know about you?
Yeah, so you mentioned, Shannon, you have a couple friends who maybe tried college, right, and are looking for a second chance. We do not have any age limits. The only thing a student needs to start college together is a GED or a high school diploma, right? And we are very open in mission because our belief is that education and access to education should be as democratic as possible. And once a student walks through our doors, whether you are 19 or 39, we're going to take you in, we're going to put you in orientation, give you the chance to experience this curriculum, and then we really give the power to the student to say, yeah, this is the right time for school, I'm ready to go, or this might not be the right format, and I'll be very honest in that we have students who, come to us and say, hey, I really want traditional college lecture. I want a football team. I want to rush for a sorority, right? We don't have all those amenities, right? Which, contributes, I think, to our low cost. But, if students want something different, we help them find it, right? And some students want a traditional experience. But if anybody would like to sign up for College Together, you simply go on our website, collegetogether.org. You can also DM us on Instagram at College Together. And within 24 hours, somebody's going to be in touch and invite you to come in for a tour. And all a student needs to do is submit their name. We have a very simple 5-minute application that's really just biographical. And we invite you to come in and learn more about this experience. And unlike traditional colleges that usually only have a fall or spring semester and maybe a fast, truncated summer semester, we have 6 start dates a year. And again, this is SNHU realizing that not everybody's life runs on traditional college time. For some people, they're ready for college in February, right? And a traditional school, you wouldn't be able to start until August, right? And life changes a lot in 6 months. Well, for us, if you, get interested in February.
So you talked about how you kind of market yourself, but how do you advertise? Like, how do you get people to find out about you? How do you get them in the door?
Yeah, a lot of it's word of mouth. A cousin graduated with us and told another cousin, and everyone has 15 cousins, so all the cousins know. We have a really, really amazing social media presence now because of our, we actually just hired one of our graduates, Sanya, who's a BA in communications, to be our first communications staff member. And she knows Instagram and TikTok way better than I ever will. And so she's been spreading the word there. But really the key to our recruitment is actually going into high schools and nonprofit partners and standing next to the Temple universities and the community colleges in the area and the state schools and the Pashi schools, and to say, here's another option. We're not saying this is better or worse than anything else, right? Again, we don't have football, we don't have sororities, but if you're not looking for that, and you're not looking to pay for that, and you're looking for a different college pathway that's radically affordable, that is supportive, and that's college done differently, we can be a pathway for you. And so, we stand with 18-year-olds and 17-year-olds, and we say, here's a new college pathway in Philadelphia that's just college done differently. And that is how the vast majority of our students find their way through us. The leader of our admissions work, Leonte, is incredible at directly connecting with students and going back to original point of view, Shannon, being honest with them, right, in what this is and also what it's not. And saying, hey, this is an opportunity for you. There's no pressure. We're not forcing you to put in a $500 deposit or sign anything on the dotted line. Here's an option that's accessible and that's affordable and that's supportive. And we hope you give us a chance. And so it's really trusting students with the decision and families and giving them all the information necessary to make that choice.
It's really good to be able to give people another option like that. I know that a lot of people struggle with even wanting to go to college at all because they're worried it's a waste of time. So it's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you at home, don't forget that this is brought to you by Penji, and Oscar has actually used Penji before. I was wondering if you would be able to tell your thoughts on it.
Yeah, we were part of the Penji nonprofit program a couple years ago, and for any nonprofit organization that's just starting out, especially when you're trying to start a new college from scratch in the middle of a pandemic, any support is great, right? And at the time, I had amateurly taught myself like Canva and Photoshop, but that is not good enough, right, to build a brand identity. And so we were very, very fortunate, Shannon, to be selected for the nonprofit program, which was heavily subsidized and supported by Penji. So thank you to everybody at Penji. And what Penji was able to do was design for us a suite of graphics, of icons. I think we had custom emojis done that we were able to use in all of our marketing. And as you know, when you're getting started, brand identity is important, right? Because, this generation especially that's coming up, they see a lot of things that are very polished on social media, some things maybe that are not. But the identity and the legitimacy of a brand is tied to, how it looks and how it feels. And, Penji was able to provide us with a suite of graphics that did not look like Microsoft clip art, that didn't look like an amateur on Canva had tried to put it together. it was very much important for our legitimization early on and for our team to feel like we had an identity. But the most important thing that persists is that Penji helped us design our logo, which is still our logo today. You could go on collegetogether.org and, that icon logo is from Penji. So thank you for that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's definitely a huge one.
And I'll add one more thing, though, is that, unlike other folks that we've worked with, Penji was really great about revisions, right? So, we would get a suite of icons and like a graphics package, right? We would ask for what we needed, and they would send it back to us within like 24 to 48 hours. And whatever changes we needed were always done. And not just done on time, but done well, right? We really felt listened to by Penji. It wasn't just like, well, here's a little fix that maybe is what you want. And so the idea of, even though Penji, y'all are the experts, right, on graphic design, we never felt like we were on unequal footing with anybody at Penji, any of your designers. And there were a couple times when, we were like, hey, this is not exactly what we want. And feedback was taken very honestly. And we eventually reached a stage where once we finished with our nonprofit, partnership with Penji, we were very, very happy at not just the initial efforts, but all the revisions that led to the finalized product, which I think is so important. So thank you for that.
Thank you. It's really great to hear that. And that's, our aim is to make it easier for you.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we want to do. So it's great to hear that you had a good experience.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for
for
being on here today. And I really appreciate the glowing review.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you so much.
All right. And to everyone at home, don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more awesome stories like Oscar's. Thank you so much for watching.
You've been listening to Unified Purpose, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.